Welcome to Everything Co-op, bringing you information on how cooperatives can help improve your quality of life. This show is being sponsored by the National Co-op Bank, NCB. The NCB is dedicated to strengthening communities nationwide for the delivery of banking and financial services for the nation's cooperatives, their members, and other socially responsible organizations. For more information on the power of community ownership, visit ncb.coop. That's ncb.coop. Now stay tuned for your host, Vernon Oakes.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Everything Co-op this Thursday morning. This morning we are going to be talking to a lady who is in Canada, in Toronto, Canada, and they've helped us start 8 co-ops, 8 worker co-ops. And good morning, Miss Esther Enyolu. Good morning.
Good morning, Vernon.
How are you this morning?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking our time to join me and talk about cooperation. Where are you from?
I am originally from Nigeria, West Africa, but I've been living in Canada for so many years, for 30-something years.
Okay, 30-something years. How did you get to Canada?
I migrated to Canada because my then fiancé was living in Canada, so I came to join him. So that's how I ended up in Canada. Initially, it was difficult adjusting.
Yes.
But here I am today, so happy being in Canada.
So love brought you to Canada, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Over 30-some years. So tell me and the audience, how did you get to know about co-ops?
Okay. As you know, co-op is something that a lot of people don't know about. Even me, I wasn't that familiar with cooperative movements or cooperative programs until around 2007, 2008, one of the organizations in my region, Durham, where our agency is located, was running cooperative program.
Can I stop you a minute? Can I stop you a minute? I'm sorry. But are you telling me in your education you did not learn about co-ops? So tell me about your education. How much education did you get?
I have a lot of education.
Okay.
First, I had my bachelor's honors in sociology, anthropology, and women's studies. I didn't learn anything about co-op. I also had a certificate in trauma counseling. I didn't learn about that. And I did my master's. I learned about so many things, but not particularly around co-op.
Master's in what?
Through the work that I do.
What do you get your master's in?
I did my master's in business administration.
So you got a master's in business administration. I got a master's in business administration. I learned nothing about co-ops in my MBA, and you learned nothing about yours.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Keep telling us, how did you learn about it then?
So it was from this organization in my region that was running cooperative program for immigrant women. So after that, this organization folded up. I happened to bump into the executive director of this organization after a few years. And I said to her, please, I know that the organization is no longer in existence, but there was a program that you ran called Workers' Cooperative Program. Please, I will appreciate if you can. We want to do the same thing, model the same program. If you can assist us in doing this because you have experience. So that woman started talking to me, and we sat down so many times, having meetings so many times, and we started developing a proposal. And that proposal came through, and we hired her to run the project. So that's how I learned. So everything I learned, now everybody is reaching out to me. So that's how I came to know about cooperative programs.
So another individual organization was running co-ops for immigrant women. They folded, and you happened to meet the executive director one day.
The executive director, yes, of that organization, and said to her, please, That project you ran was a good project. I want to implement the same project at our organization. If you can assist me to do that. And that's how we started talking.
Okay. So now, how did you get funding to start co-ops?
We were funded by one of the foundations in Canada called Ontario Trillium Foundation. They funded us to develop 6 cooperative workers program. By the time we finished, we ended up developing 7, and the 8th one was in the progress by the time the funding ended and the pandemic started. So we didn't get to develop that one. So now we develop 7 cooperative programs for women. And majority of the women are immigrant women, racialized women, Black women, South Asian, Middle Eastern, and so on.
Okay, so you got funding to develop 6 co-ops in Durham, D-U-R-H-A-M, Durham. Okay, and you end up developing 6.
7,
right?
7.
Okay.
Yes. And also, the program was to focus in our region, Durham region. But when the program started, the need was high in the community. We started receiving calls from women from other parts of the province, women from Peel, York region, Toronto, Halton, Thunder Bay. We started receiving calls from women from different areas in Ontario. So initially, we said to those women, this program was intended for women in Durham region, in our catchment area. But after we continued to receive phone calls, we had to go back to our funding ministry foundation to say to them, this is what we are experiencing. There seems to be lots of interest from women in the community from other parts of the province. Please, can we include them? And they gave us permission to do so. So we started accepting those women to participate. And even though they were living far, then there was no pandemic. We were running this program in our office and also in the community in Durham region. But those women were traveling to participate.
Okay.
Distance wasn't a barrier to them.
Okay. All right. I get your excitement and enthusiasm when you talk about this. You just brighten up. You're working with immigrant women from all over the world, it seems like mainly from Africa and the Caribbean, would you say?
African, Caribbean, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Latin America. So women from different cultures. From Japan.
So what
women from different cultures.
What about co-ops? You knew this other organization was doing co-ops. They folded. Why did you decide you wanted to do co-ops? What about co-ops interest you?
Because our organization focuses on assisting women, whether they are women who experience violence, whether it is women who are dealing with integration and adaptation issues, whether it is women dealing with housing issues, women who are in conflict with the law, anything about women. And our organization has implemented programs for entrepreneurial women and women in business, all those things. So anything about women. Also, we do provide services to youth and children and senior women. So this is something that I thought would help some of our clientele, especially women who have experienced violence. At some point, after recovery, we have to encourage them to move into the next stage for economic independence. So, different stages of life. First, you help them heal from the violence and abuse they experience. The next is preparing them to enter into the labor market or to start their own business. And most of our clientele are women who are in Canada, who are new or who are immigrants, who used to run their businesses or family businesses in their respective countries. When they arrive in Canada, they don't know how to. Through this program, women entrepreneur programs, worker cooperative, you encourage them to brace their skills they already have, encouraging them to move on with it, use it, get into your field again. So that's what it is all about. So I know it was when she was running that program, I said, this is what I will want to run for the organization. So I saw the opportunity and I grabbed it. So, and it was good.
You grabbed it and it was good. So here's what I'm hearing you say is that these are immigrant women that come to Canada, and in their own countries, they may have run a small business. And then they come in, they have some kind of issue with the law, with abuse, some violence. And your organization is called Women's Multicultural Resources and Counseling Center. So you help provide them with whatever the issue that brought them in. And then it's a question of how do you get economic independence? They could go get a job, okay? Because they're immigrants, they may have all kinds of issues with immigration. They may have all kinds of issues because they haven't been working for somebody. They've been having their own business. So you found that this starting their own business and a cooperative business is a great way of doing it. Does that sum it up pretty good?
Yes. So exactly. Because they already have the skill, they already have experience running businesses, not in Canada, but in their respective country. So all they need to do is to be provided with information relevant for them to continue. But instead of running it individually, they are running it collectively as members of the cooperative.
Okay. So you started 7 business. How did you decide what businesses you would start?
Well, as I mentioned to you, when we were developing the proposal, I was chatting with that woman, the executive director of that organization. And we were discussing what kind of, because when she ran it, she developed like 3 or 4 cooperatives, but we increased the number of the ones we decided to put because I know when she did hers, she ran food. But when we were developing this one, she said to me, Esther, please avoid food. And I said to her, but you ran food. Food was one of the cooperatives you developed. She said to me, there is a lot of hassle with food, with meeting the public health criteria and all those things. They always want you to do this. It's a lot of issues dealing with food and so on and so forth. So we eliminated food. We didn't include food. So it is something that that woman and myself decided to pick the area that we know that is the area of need, and some of a small sample of women we talked to who also indicated to us those areas are the key area we should focus on. So that's how we came up with those areas.
Well, thank you. We're going to take our first break here. And what I've heard you say is you looked at area of need. There's a gentleman from Senegal was on the first month that we were on. He said co-op solve community problems need. If it's not a community problem, there's no need for a co-op. So we're going to come back and talk about the other types of co-ops that you all form. We'll be right back. Please don't touch that dial. Welcome back, everybody. This is Vernon Oakes, and our guest today is Esther Enyolu, who is in Toronto, Canada. She is the Executive Director of Women's Multicultural Resources and Counseling Center in Durham. So they have created 7 worker co-ops for women, mainly immigrant women, in Canada. And that is extremely exciting to me. First, I want to talk about the different co-ops, but what did your organization do? I mean, in terms of, did you provide technical assistance? Did you provide financing? Did you do the training for them? What did you go through?
Okay. As we all know, you know about co-op, Benon, because you work in this area. And also another colleague and friend and supporter, Dr. Caroline Hussein. She does a lot of work in this field, and she is the one who hooked you up with me to do this interview. So, as you know, we can call it gig economy, sharing economy, platform economy. Worker cooperatives are businesses that are owned and democratically controlled by the members. The main purpose of a worker cooperative is to provide employment for its members through operating an enterprise that follows the cooperative principles, values, and practices. It can work for anyone who have a marketable service, startup capital, and a plan for organizing and growth. Bearing this in mind, we supported these women for 2 good years of so many programs, activities. We helped them, we trained them on 7 principles of cooperative workers. We also trained them on 10 steps of developing a worker cooperative. And we also provided them with so many support, workshops, training, and also one of the activities was to really expose them, to take them to places. We took them to so many community events, so many community engagement sessions, conferences, gave them the opportunity to speak at those conferences as our way of empowering them to feel comfortable, because as a business owner, you have to be marketing your business. You have to be going places, talking to people, provided them with mentorship, referred them to organization called BACD, Durham Business Advisory Center, Durham Region. And Business Advisory Center of Durham Region was very helpful, because what they do is to train business owners or people who are planning to start their business. So we are going there for training. We hook them up to so many community network, partnerships, stakeholders. And we are coming to the organization a lot, meeting each cooperative group. And I and my staff member who was running the cooperative program, we were helping them out, mentoring them, educating them, and we had a consultant too, a group firm we hired who was providing all this training to them, and we also have an evaluator who was working with them as well. So we have so many resources for them to tap into, and each group meets almost on a weekly basis to organizing, discussing about their cooperative. And my team member who was working on the project also helped each group to incorporate them. She incorporated them, each of the group, and we helped them to develop their websites. And we also hired a lawyer who was meeting with them too to do some legal work as a group of people owning a business, so that somebody cannot be acting, this is my business, it is a collective business, and everybody who is in the business has equitable rights.
Okay. So what I heard you say is that you provided a lot of training for them. directions for them, whether it was legal or how to work together, how to speak in front of audiences. You gave them the skills that they need to run a business. And that was over a 2-year period.
Exactly.
Okay. And they got their websites up. So now I want to go into, let's talk about the first one, which was Kumba Child Care Cooperative.
Kumba Child Care Cooperative, yes.
And what do they do?
So it is a child care. They provide, it is a child care cooperative that we develop to provide child care to Black and ethno-racial communities. So that was the intent of the group. So it is a child care co-op.
And it's a worker co-op, so the people that work
They
there...
work co-op with a few number of women in that cooperative.
And how many members, how many owners?
There are about 7 owners.
Okay.
Right now, yes.
So there's 7 owners in a worker co-op, and it says from birth to 6 years old.
Yes, from newborn to 6-year-old.
Wow. Because I don't know a lot of nurseries that would take from birth. A lot of times they have to be potty trained first before nurseries will take them. Mm-hmm. So you take them from birth to 6.
From birth to 6-year-olds, because they want to support women so that if they choose to return back to work, that wouldn't be a barrier to them. So these cooperatives are following the same principle of WMRCC that developed them, to be there to support the community.
Okay.
To eliminate barrier, not to create barrier.
So what happens to the child after they become 7? There's a need for before school and after school?
They transition to elementary school.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The paper you gave me says that there's a holistic African and Caribbean culture approach. What is that?
So it means it will be African and Caribbean heritage focus. So they will be, their program is geared towards that area to help those children to develop a cultural identity, some kind of C12.
C12.
Yes. Cultural identity, okay. And feeling a sense of belonging, and to grow up feeling confidence, feeling proud of whom they are, their cultural backgrounds.
Okay. So there's a child care. Now, did you go to other child care co-ops to see how they were working? So when you set up your whole processes, it would be similar to other child care co-ops?
Yes. They had meeting with various child care facilities, and there was a child care in Cambridge, Ontario, who was already using this kind of model. They took a trip to go visit that child care a day. So, yeah.
Phenomenal. So these 7 members are immigrant from other countries that go to Canada that did not have a job, that may have had some issues, and those issues could have been with the law, or it could have been abuse, or it could have been any kind of thing that got your attention to them. And then you helped them, your organization went out and got some money from a foundation, Ontario Trillion Foundation, to help start a co-op. So these 7 ladies can have, you call it economic independence, but there's all kinds of things they can get. We're going to have to take our second break. So I want to come back and talk about the other 6 co-ops in this next segment, and get what else do these members, these worker cooperatives get besides economic independence as they develop. You get a lot of training. You've already said that. That's what you all provided for them, training. So we'll be right back and talk about the other 6 co-ops that Esther's group helped to start. Good morning, everybody. This is Vernon Oakes. The program is Everything Cooperative, and we're talking to Esther Enyolu from Canada, originally from Nigeria. And the organization she's with is the Women's Multicultural Resource and Counseling Service in Toronto, Canada. The segment is in Durham. And they went out and made a grant, got some money to start worker co-ops. And they've created 7 worker co-ops. We talked about the Child Care Cooperative, which has 7 members. And now I want to talk about what's the next cooperative that you all help to form.
So, yes, before I get into that, I want to reflect on what I said before. Those women who experience or who have lived experience of violence or dealing with immigration issues or dealing with justice system, those are really, in totality, the kind of service WMRCC is providing within our organization, including different programs for youth and children and seniors as well. I'm also running other projects that can support. We have technical and innovation program helping people to get back to work after the COVID, because a lot of people lost their jobs, to retrain them in IT, because IT is the reigning these days. So we have all those, and we have a program called Challenge Racism, looking at challenges people, especially racialized individuals and other people facing one form of oppression or the other are facing in terms of getting job. So Cooperative is also one of the program that WMRCC implemented. And even though we developed them 2 years ago, and last year, pandemic hit us. So they are picking up from there. So this program, one of them you mentioned, Combat Child Care, and the other one is artist group, a young women who are artists and photographers called Jagjit Cooperative Group and Photography Group. Then we have interpreters and translation.
Wait, let's talk about the artist group first.
Okay.
The artist group, how many members are in there?
The artist group have 5 members in it.
And what do they
5
do?
cooperative members.
What do they do?
They do painting.
Okay.
Painting and photography.
And did they go visit other artist groups in Canada when they got started?
It is a group of young women and men who have skills in artistic skills in drawing. But due to the fact that our project is female focused or individuals who identify as female, so the men are part of the board, but the artist group are all women, young women. So they do some artistic, very nice, skillful.
And so I wanted to introduce you to, there's a group of black women in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they have a co-op called Ujamaa Collective. That's UJAMAA Collective.org is their webpage. And they will sell through their workplace. They have a studio where they sell their art. Okay. And they sell other black folks' art also. So your artists could sell through them. And then I interviewed a Zuni Pueblo artist, that's men and women in the Zuni Native American, and they do, both of these have paintings also, but they do other things like jewelry. So working together and sharing together of the different kinds of co-ops is one of the things. That's the 6th principle of cooperation among co-ops. And so these different artist groups could support each other is what I'm trying to get to.
Exactly. I will mention it to them to hook up with them, to connect to them.
Okay.
Exchange of information is always good.
Exchange of information and maybe even selling each other's products. There may be a way of doing that too. At least Ujamaa has that opening for that to sell in their storefront. That's what I was looking at. They have a storefront. What's the next one?
We have Interpreters and Translators Platform, Cooperatives, Inc. So these are a group of women who speak different languages. So they are interpreters group, so that when people have the need to translate their documents in other languages or needing somebody to provide an interpreter for services, they can do that.
Okay. And what you sent me said culturally appropriate language service. What does that mean?
Okay, culturally appropriate services is like when you have a client and the client is speaking one of the African languages or one of the South Asian languages, or speaking Spanish or speaking Farsi or Arabic, you have to link them up because we deal with women who speak so many languages. So some of them don't speak English or French, which are the two official languages in Canada. Unlike in America is English and Spanish, in Canada is English and French. So depending on a woman's identified language, we try to find somebody in her language, cultural interpreter. So that's what this cooperative is doing.
Okay.
So that's what they mean, culturally appropriate. To make sure you match the woman as opposed to forcing to speak to her in English or French, which she might not understand everything, the conversation you had with her due to language barrier. In that way, you find somebody who speaks her language, so to make sure she understands the conversation you're having with them.
And how many members?
This cooperative has 10 active members.
10 members. So you have 5 in the child care, 7 in the child care,
7 in child care,
10 in the interpreters, and we have 5 in the artist group. So far 22. So talk about the cleaners.
Okay, I want to mention too, all these cooperatives started with a huge number of women when we developed them. Of course, after some people might not stay, or as time goes, they will be recruiting more members to join them at some point. But I'm mentioning to you currently people who are active in those cooperatives. So we have Cleaners Cooperative, and I think the pandemic favored this group because they got some cleaning contracts during the pandemic. Cleaners Cooperative is also a group of women who came together as cooperative, and this was one of the largest group of women during the time we were developing them with members. Right now, they have about 15 active members in it. So they get cleaning contracts when venues, including homes for the seniors, banquet halls, cleaning individual homes, businesses, and so on. So that's what this co-op. And they use organic self products. They don't use chemical stuff. They use organic products and products that are safe.
So they're environmentally friendly products.
Friendly, yes.
Okay. So you got the child care with 7 members, interpreters with 10 members, the cleaners with 13, and the artists with 5. That tells us 37 different individuals that are benefiting and creating their own work, their own jobs. Okay, and the next one.
We also have Ebony Care Cooperative Inc., which is called in Canada Personal Support Workers. So they are a registered non-profit organization working with seniors. So this cooperative also benefited from the COVID because there was need for service because during the outbreak of COVID in the first year, 2020, there was a lot of outbreaks in seniors' home, and the medical field needed a lot of workers, PSW workers. So this is this group. They are PSW working with people, especially seniors, in homes.
So we call them home healthcare workers here.
Home health care workers, you call it in America.
Yeah.
In Canada, we call it PSW.
Yes.
Personal support worker.
So I just want to tell you that the Cooperative Development Fund, CDF, you can get them at cdf.coop. They're having their 5th annual home health care conference that's going to be virtual, and it's free. So if you want to tell your members, how many members in this PSW, in this personal support?
15.
You have 15 members.
15 members.
So if you want to tell those 15 members, they can get free training at this 5th annual conference. And again, it's virtual, so they can go online and get the training. They can go to cdf.coop to get the information about that training, which is February 22nd. Virtual training online. Mm-hmm. So now we've got 37 before, and now we've got 15. So that's 52 members, individuals that have created their own jobs. Okay. Ebony Care.
Then the next one is Harmony Creation. Harmony Creation is sewing cooperative.
Sewing cooperative, okay.
And this sewing cooperative has about, I think, 15 members, active members. But this group was one of the largest group. The largest group we had when we were developing them, we had this Harmony sewing group. A lot of women were in the group. Cleaners and PSW. They were the 3 largest. We have lots of women in them. And this sewing group, they used to be at the center every week to sew. And they were also training women and young women how to sew.
Okay, we're going to come back and pick up on this sewing cooperative. We're going to take our 3rd and final break, Harmony Creation Sewing Cooperative. And we'll talk about the other one, and then we'll get to talk about the benefits and future. We'll be right back.
Your news talk station.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Vernon Oakes, and the show is Everything Co-op, and we're having a great conversation this morning with Esther Enyolu, who is a Nigerian lady who lives and works in Canada. She followed her love to Canada, and she's been there over 30 years, working with a group called Women's Multicultural Resources and Counselling Center. And they have got some money to help to create co-ops. She, like me, did not learn about co-ops in her formal education. So we've talked about 6 of the 7 co-ops they started, and we were talking before the break about the Harmony Creation Sewing Cooperative, and they were one of the groups when they got started, had a lot of people and curious about it, and now they have 15 members in that co-op. So tell us what that sewing co-op does. That's what you were talking about before we took a break.
Okay. The sewing cooperative, they are designers. They sew, people give them contracts. Restaurants give them, I know before the pandemic, they got some contracts to sew tablecloths for these restaurants. They also get contracts from individuals to sew them. And I know me personally, I have given them outfit to make for me. And during our gala 2019, They made ties for men, and they made handbags and scarf we gave out as gifts to our attendees, our gala attendees. So they make different things, they design different things, and during the pandemic also, they were able to, when there was shortage of, I'm talking as if the pandemic is over.
Okay.
So I mean, in the mid, when it was severe, when it first broke out, we learned about COVID-19 in 2020. At some point, there was scarcity of masks. So
right.
they had to make, with African fabric, make some mask, fabric mask. They distributed to different homes for the seniors, and also sell to make some income through that. So they sew different things, they design different things. So
okay, fantastic. Yeah. Now, my mother taught me how to sew on an old Singer sewing machine. What do they sew on?
Yes, as I mentioned to you, these are women who have skills in sewing. So we help them, we enhance them to bring out that skill and designing talent they have, and use it in developing in a cooperative business with other women.
Where do they get their sewing machines?
Oh, WMRCC purchased those sewing machines, and some of those women have their own sewing machine.
Okay. So you help them get the tools that they needed to do their skill set. And you said there were about 15 members of that. So now we have 67 co-op members in 6 different co-ops. So let's talk about the 7th one. What's the 7th co-op?
The 7th co-op is Beautician Worker Cooperative, Inc. So it's a group of women who learn how to beautify, do hair, makeup, nails. So this is what they are. So Beautician Cooperative. And this co-op is 4 of them. When we
4 members?
Them, well, it was 4 women who own it.
So if somebody in Toronto or in the U.S. wanted to come to the Beauticians Workers Cooperative to get beautified, how would they find them, or any of these co-ops?
Oh, they will Google them. They have websites.
Okay.
They Google their name, and they will pull the information. They will pull information, read more about them, find their emails, find their phone number to contact them.
Okay. So Beauticians Workers Cooperative is the 4 members, and then there's the JAGGAN Art and Photography Cooperative.
Yes.
So they could Google that to get photography or get somebody to paint your portrait. And then there's the Harmony Creation Sewing Cooperative. If you want somebody to sew an outfit for you, or if you have some other sewing needs. Ebony Care Cooperative is a PSW, a Personal Support Worker Cooperative. We call them home health care, so it'd be somebody around Canada, somebody close into Durham, that area, that might need somebody to help with someone who's aging, or they may have a physical or mental health issue. And that's how you would find Ebony Care. Google that. Cooperative Cleaners of Ontario have 13 members. If you needed somebody to do cleaning of your house or your business or some other event, you want to do a contract with them or one time. Interpreters and Translations Platform Cooperative, if you need somebody to interpret. And there's all kinds of languages in Canada. It's a melting pot of languages, and they have interpreters for that. And the 7th one is childcare, and that is also for that particular area for childcare. So there's 7 co-ops, 71 different members. So what's the benefits of membership into a co-op that you found?
Well, the benefits of cooperative is It provides the opportunity for individuals to work collectively, and it benefits them to work collectively than to work individually, because it is a lonely path when you work on your own. And working as a team is like you provide support to each other. Each member has something to contribute. And when you are working in a group, when there is loss, as we face pandemic and businesses are not moving as fast as it should be moving, it's like everybody, you provide support to each other. So not you dealing with this in isolation by yourself. And also it builds their self-confidence. So the skills they learn from developing cooperative, these 7 principles of cooperative that they learn when we were developing them, and as well as 10 steps of developing workers cooperative, and also other resources, training, and places we took them for them to meet other people who are in cooperative business, and networking with members of the Ontario Cooperative Association, and all those things, and side nets, different groups, and connecting them to banks where they can go for loans. So those are benefits of being a member, and supporting one another. Conflict mediation, because when you are in group, even families who are running family business, sometimes they have issues. So they have to learn how to resolve conflict with one another, because they are in partner. Sometimes issues might arise.
So I get from this conversation, just to summarize it real quick, they create their own jobs.
Yes.
They develop leadership skills. They learn to work together and conflict resolution. They learn to run a business. They learn how to speak. You gave them speaking engagements in front of different audiences. They learn financial skills, budgeting, and other skills which they can take into their home. They create financial wealth. We didn't talk about that one, but that's one that I have.
They create financial wealth for one another, because whatever income they make belongs to them collectively.
And they increase their dignity and self-worth, their self-confidence. So those are some of the benefits of a worker cooperative. And I have it.
Of autonomy and independence.
Yes, independence. Yes. So what's the benefit to the family?
Benefit to the family is that whatever the impact, whatever they are doing is having on them, is also affecting their family. So the wealth they generate, their family members also benefit from that. Well, I'm also, because in our cooperative, we have women who belong in one cooperative, and you have their daughter or young granddaughter belonging to a different one. So because, my grandmother is in this co-op, made some of the granddaughters to want to belong to one of the co-op, and made some of the daughters to belong to a different co-op. So we have women who belong to sewing co-op, and their daughter belong to child care, combat child care, or PSW co-op. So we had that. We saw that.
So I have it that there's a lot of benefits to the individual. All of those benefits from the individual goes on into the family and benefits them. And then you all get all of this work between different co-ops, which is cooperation among co-ops, but also within a family. And then community benefits, whether it's Canada or Toronto, Canada, or the world.
Durham region, Toronto. As I mentioned to you, we had these cooperative women from different parts of.
And so the environmental friendly stuff is totally great. See you next week, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.